Number 23, Mizzou. Yeah, that's right. Mizzou's still ranked. How about that? 7.5-point favorites against Mississippi State. The over-under I have is 3 references to playing for pride. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Could apply that to both sides. Not a big spread in this one. Basically, touchdown spread. I know we got the hook there as well. Mm-hmm. Well, Mizzou is minus 55 in SEC play. That's scoring margin. Okay. Minus 55. Yet, at the same time, Mizzou can still have a 10-win season. If it wins out, would have to win the bowl game as well. Mm-hmm. I went back the last 15 years and tried to find any SEC team that won 10 games but had a negative point differential in conference play. That's what I did with my Wednesday afternoon. Here were the closest that I could find to that in those 15 years. All right. 2008 Georgia won 10 games. It was +1 in SEC play. How about that? 2018 Florida won 10 games, was +4 in SEC play. 2018 Kentucky, historic breakthrough season for Mark Stoops, won 10 games, was +14 in SEC play. 2022 LSU, how about that? Won 10 games, was +16 in SEC play. 2021 Ole Miss won 10 games, was +22 in SEC play. 2021 Kentucky won 10 games, and it was +24 in SEC play. In 2015 Georgia, the last year of the Mark Richt era, they won 10 games that year, and they were +24 in SEC play as well. So, got to go back further than 15 years. I finally got to 2007 Tennessee.
Sorry, I bumped into the mic. I didn't mean to do that, but I'm like, heck yeah, we did. I'm like, I hope it didn't stop there. I'm so locked in.
Come on. You think I'm just going to stop? I just had to frame it as, yeah, this hasn't happened in the last 15 years.
I guess we'll never know. Psych.
Yeah. I originally did playoff era, and I'm like, yeah, no, we got to keep going. 2007 Tennessee. That team won 10 games, -3 in SEC play. Played an SEC championship, of course, against LSU. How fitting that the 2007 season yielded that. Of course it did. Mm-hmm. Why wouldn't it? Maybe Tennessee fans would disagree with this take because obviously that Tennessee team got walloped by Florida, got walloped by Alabama, year one of the Saban era, but they still beat 2 top 15 teams that year, played an SEC championship. I wouldn't call that Tennessee season in 2007 a hollow season. Do I need to explain kind of what I've referenced that before, what I think is a hollow season? South Carolina is doing the opposite right now of a hollow type season. Big, impactful wins,
right?
Move the needle type wins, as opposed to kind of empty calorie type victories and getting blown out in the games that we feel like actually matter. Okay,
I'm not going to tell you which coach is known for that, but we watched him at a certain conference list school for most of our lives.
Do his initials resemble a certain fast food chain that isn't McDonald's?
Yes, and okay. I know exactly what you're talking about with a hollow season. Go ahead.
Home of the Whopper. All right. Mizzou is a chance for a historically hollow 10-win season. That's what I'm getting at here. A negative scoring margin in conference play feels very likely unless they win these next 2 games by an average of 4 touchdowns. Because they're -55 in SEC play. Only win for Mizzou this year against a team that was ranked at the time of the matchup was at home against number 24 Boston College. That was back in September. Boston College, by the way, in case you haven't checked up on Bill O'Brien's team, they're now 5-5. They're fighting for bowl eligibility. Only win for Mizzou against a core 4 team that currently has a winning record was against 6-4 Vandy. And that was in double OT, and not enjoyable 1% for the Mizzou faithful because at the time, the idea of Vandy beating a top 10 team was insane, and we thought we would never see that. Little did we know. In 3 games against teams currently ranked in the CFP top 25, Mizzou got blown out twice, and it lost once last week, devastating fashion in South Carolina. Here's what I'm getting at. I don't know how many times this season Mizzou has truly felt good. You know, that's I hate to always use the word vibe because I know I overuse it. Okay, don't give me a 1-star review saying that I overuse the word vibe. If someone's ever done that, delete it. That's mean. But I think that matters to 18 to 22-year-old kids feeling good in a given week and just feeling like, we did what we set out to do. Our fan base feels good. We're going to have a fun week of practice. This isn't going to suck. We're not going to have to hear about it from students passing by. We're going to feel like we're actually living up to expectations. With all the mind games that Drink has been playing with his team this year, he has
Sorry,
been.
I just got reminded of the A&M game. That's just so funny.
The blanket that Drink had a staffer definitely send that blanket. There's no doubt whatsoever to his own player, to Theo Weiss. I wonder what buttons he has left to push. I do. Road game in Starkville. Will, I'm calling for the upset. I'm going to say Michael Van Buren has himself a whale of a day, a week removed from Lenora Sellers, kind of going off against this Mizzou defense. I'm going to say coming off the bye week, Jeff Lebby gets to celebrate his first SEC win, 35-31, Mississippi State. And this would basically make everything I said about Mizzou having a 10-win season useless and impossible.
I'm right there with you, buddy. I was sitting here looking at this game like this is a classic Mizzou
How
loss.
about it?
I am right there with you. I thought I was going to be, because I tried to not scroll down to your predictions. Like I thought I was going to be the guy who said it. But again, I go back to the Florida game last year where it's like, all you have to do is just comfortably beat a bad team. And it's like, we've seen the all you have to do is comfortably beat a bad team several times from Mizzou. It's
Graham Mertz even got hurt at the end of that game too, and they still had to just fight like tooth and nail to be had the big fourth down conversion late in that one just to be able to win it.
Yeah, so like that's kind of my thing is it's like, okay, we've had the game last week that was a heartbreaking game. Like we talked about this with Florida getting up for a game. It's like that game was such an emotional toll because, okay, you had a game that you were fighting for, you lost it before halftime, you came all the way back, and then you lost it again. So like I've joked about like the getting blown out actually isn't that bad sometimes because you just move on to the next week. But that one, they were locked in until the last play after having kind of had like gaslight themselves into believing. And that's kind of what happens when you don't have like when you're gaslighting your players about like blankets and stuff. Like everything is just random, you know, on the Drink staff because it's like, you know, we talked about ad nauseum, the 1-score games from last year. The Kansas State game last year is a game they lose this year, right? We talked about even the Alabama game is a game they might have won last year that they had no shot in this year. So, yeah, I think that Mississippi State, led by Michael Van Buren, you know, and when you talk about those teams, right, that you just listed that had kind of like the tiering, you could pick out a specific game or two in each of those teams and go, oh, yeah, this was pretty bad. And Mizzou already has two of those games against Alabama and A&M. And so, like, all they're missing is just that upset to set the record straight, to equalize the win total.
I think, too, and people are definitely fair to point out, you talk about wanting to feel good. When has Mississippi State felt good this year? I mean, obviously, It's been a really, really rough year zero. I know coaches hate it when you call it a year zero, but it has felt like a year zero for that team. Mm-hmm. And I understand that fully. I also think there's a lot of we need to try and we're still trying to fight for jobs for next year as well. And I'm not saying I don't think Mississippi State is going to have some mass exodus in the portal like it has the last 2 years. So you're trying to fight just to be able to show I'm good enough to be able to go into the offseason feeling like I have a case for a starting job. I think that'll be at play. I think Mississippi State has kind of already accepted who it is at this point. And I wonder if Mizzou just doesn't come out with the right mindset. And I think in a game like this, maybe they get bit a little bit from it. And this ends up being just a tough to stomach loss for Drink.
Yeah, no, I'm right there with you.